you've got to picture the issues here, and there are plenty of issues to go around. But the problem with anything regarding a sort of counter programming measure, you have to have something worth putting on air and trying to counter. You know, if you don't have anything that people care about being put forth as a competitor or as this attempt to get attention away from AEW, you're not going to make a dent. Right? You say you want to make a dent, but you can't make a dent. People really love NXT, but they're not going to watch the program every damn week. You see that constantly. Nobody really gives a damn. They're not going out of their way to watch NXT. Yeah, it's really convenient, and much more convenient than, say, any other sort of programming from WWE, but it's not. Nobody cares. I mean, people care about it more than 205 Live, sure, but nobody is going out of their way to watch NXT. I think people are going to go out of their way to watch AEW. And you can try your hardest and your most desperate, but, you know, you're going to make a dent. I just don't think it's going to be as big of a dent as people think NXT is going to put in to AEW. Maybe the first few times they bring out main roster talent onto the yellow brand, maybe then people will tune in for a little bit, but it's not like there is going to be this massive concurrent viewership every single week onto NXT. Like, a main roster guy going down to NXT is going to be alright. It's going to be, you know, a special thing, but once you've taken away what makes it special, that whole, you know, rarely ever happens, and you start doing it every single week, that's where it becomes a problem. That's where it becomes, you know, the issue, and not just an issue. So that's when people will stop watching. And the main roster guys going to NXT... Main roster guys going down to NXT loses its luster. It loses its special attraction feeling, because it's not a special attraction anymore. It's just a same old. You're used to it by now. That's when people will stop going out of their way to watch NXT, because there's, just like before, and just like now, there's no real reason to go out of your way to watch NXT. It's the better product than 205 Live, which is the only reason why it's more easily viewable, because it has the platform that people care about. 205 Live doesn't have that platform that people care about, but one way or another, you know, it's not a special product. People don't go out of their way to watch NXT, but they go out of their way to watch the takeovers. So if you want to counter-program AEW shows with NXT takeovers. That's the best you can do. Anyway, let's jump gears. We've got Intensity and Severity to review now. I'm surprised it took us this long down. We got, 3 segments out of the way? Here at the Hardy Complex, we like to do things a little bit differently every now and then, as you can tell by the same old topics of conversation being brought up every single week. I'm surprised it took us this long because of Capital Carnage this Sunday. But the Intensity for August the 7th and Severity for August the 9th were... I don't want to say anything just outright. Let's run down the card now that we've gotten a few days out of the way of Intensity and a day past Severity. Let's run down the card, see exactly what we can kind of muster of the shows. Wednesday Night Intensity, we'll start out with that first because, you know, obviously. Intensity number 346. Opening segment was with Lucas and Mia Bing. You know, I'm fine with making new stars, and I'm fine with them opening up the show. Like, awesome. Give them a platform. People are tuning into Intensity. It's the first thing they're going to see. Why not try to make a star by putting them out right there, right in front of everybody? What should realistically, and even if you put on a shit show, or a great show, realistically, the most eyes you get on your product should be the opening segment. So, I'm surprised it takes them this long to put guys like Choi Ji-Yu and Lucas Bing and Logan Clark in the opening segment. with and it just boggles my mind. So whatever. One way or another, they walk out. They are pretty much just making it very clear they are there to take over USW. Very simple, very brief, but also very bland and very basic. If you can recall how many times people have said, hey, we're going to walk in here, we're going to take over. I mean, the Nexus did that in WWE. Aces and Eights did that in Impact. Shawn Spears is doing that in AEW now, amongst probably many others. And just in USW alone, you've had Philip Akron and Mr. Anthony and Indigo Child and Quincy Newsome and Norse Cadavery all claim the same thing. And so far, only Philip Akron and Mr. Anthony have, staked claim to that. I wonder how that's going to work out for Lucas and Mia. Peyton Hawthorne then walks out. Awesome. She was called out by Mia Bing. And I don't know what this line was supposed to entail, but Hawthorne calls Bing out as being the least important factor in this little pairing. When how do you gauge importance? And at the same time, why just bury or try to bury Mia Bing like that? Like, now she has to win this Sunday against Peyton Hawthorne, or she's proven to be the least important factor, and that's just buried her outright. That makes no sense, at least in my eyes. Indigo Child then walks out. And, I'm sorry, no, he doesn't walk out, but he appears on the Motiontron. He hosts the episode of the Sun Devil, talks about how Lucas Bing is a know-nothing loser, and to quote, word for word, undeniably the weakest link on not just the pairing, but the Intensity roster. Also, possibly the least intelligent and most inferior. Indigo Child then states in his all-knowing wisdom that this Sunday, Lucas Bing will be sent back to where he came from. The training centers, learning how to make something of himself. Oh my God. This was a very painful opening segment to listen to, and to watch, and to see. Because if you wanted to do this with Indigo Child, if you wanted to have Indigo Child host the Sun Devil and have him cut this promo, why the hell not do it against somebody more solidified in the mid-card, even? Like, give it to Otis Crane. Let Otis Crane kick him in the face and be done with it, But here you are, this is a new talent, and you got these two separate people that have been here relatively long enough. I mean, Peyton Hawthorne's been here for, 2 years now? Or close to, probably closing in on a year and a half. And Indigo Child has, even if he may be one of the least remembered ones, he is a former USW champion. And these two guys are just walking out and burying this newest talent. Like, the most, and I don't want to say most over, because they're really not over at all, but this is the most over new talent you've got from this class of graduates, with Choi Ji-Yu, Logan Clark, who we'll get to in a minute, and the Bings, as well as William Davies, who's now in Arc Wrestling. So, you're just burying them in front of the most viewers, or the most viewed segment of the show as possible. I do not understand it. How? Like, if this was any other mid-carder, could be fucking Amore, that would be fine. Because, maybe there are parts of the audience that have seen him wrestle consistently really good matches and have seen him contend for mid-card titles, but Lucas Bing and Mia Bing have done nothing. They've had a match or two, but they've done nothing in the grand scheme of things. And they're new, and they just came from the training centers, and they're this duo. But aside from that, there's nothing, alright? You know the basics, and you're burying them in the opening segment. Like, this may not seem too big because it just may seem like it's adding fuel to the fire. But these guys look like chumps now. He just got called out. Lucas Bing just got called out by the former USW champion. And Mia Bing just got called out against a woman who she probably will beat this Sunday. But nevertheless, if she doesn't beat this Sunday, she looks like even more of a chump than her brother. How the fuck do you do that? What is the point of this? That's just, it's ridiculous. This, in any other capacity, I mean, would have been a bad promo. But it would have been less devastating to an overall character had it been somebody else. But this is a new group cutting a bad promo and getting ripped apart by a reasonably successful Peyton Hawthorne and a former world champion. Unbelievable. How the fuck do you do that? Before I give myself a fucking aneurysm, let's get into the first match. It was Tyreek Carver, the blue belt champion, against Otis Crane, winning the match against Otis Crane. Crane is beginning to, set up the comeback, obviously. The referee gets knocked out. Zach Hardy comes through, hits a spear, throws Kane into the ring. Logan Clark sets up Covert Affair. Carver hits. No. Yes, Logan Clark hits the Covert Affair, and then Tyreek Carver rolls into the win. Afterwards, Mr. Anthony runs down, hits the Redwood Viper on Tyreek Carver, and Mr. Anthony just scurries away, I guess taunting Tyreek Carver from the top of the ramp. It was a good match, but as I said a moment ago, we were going to get to Logan Clark, who is one of the other graduates of the training class in USW, and man, this is not working out. Logan Clark looks... I get the want to rehash the story of Tyreek Carver made his name known because he beat the shit out of Philip Akron. He was Philip Akron's lackey, and then got the opportunity to outshine Philip Akron and win the blue belt title. He took it, and then obviously that ended the pairing. And then Tyreek Carver went down this whole road for a year and a half trying to get the blue belt title. Finally got it. Now he's here. He's got his own lackey. The story writes itself. You want the dominoes to fall again, but the difference was that Tyreek Carver had this charisma. He had this sort of charm that while he was Philip Akron's lackey, he didn't look like a lackey. He looked like a guy. He looked like his own guy, his own man. But he was in the shadows of somebody with a bigger personality. But you knew if Tyreek Carver wanted to, he could kick his personality up into high gear and become his own man outside of the shadows. Logan Clark just looks like a lackey. I could not tell you one characteristic of Logan Clark that makes him stand out from the rest of the pack. Even when Tyreek Carver was a lackey, if you just put a picture of Philip Akron and Tyreek Carver into... I wish we could put him up on the screen, but this is the live episode of the Hardy Complex. So, just picture Philip Akron and Tyreek Carver side by side, Akron with the blue belt title. You'd look at that picture and you'd go, they'd be a tag team. You'd think both men had enough personality in that one picture to the point where you looked at them and you went, well, they're probably very, very different. Right? You couldn't picture one or the other being in the shadow of the other. Right? But with Logan Clark, put Logan Clark and Tyreek Carver together, you'd think Tyreek Carver was... I don't want to say the dad, because that's not the right word to use, but it's like you'd think he was the mentor. There you go. He thought he would be the mentor of Logan Clark. All right? And Tyreek Carver's a young guy. He looks really young. Logan Clark looks young, too. And Tyreek Carver looks like his personality is exploding. And Logan Clark just looks like this dull plank of wood. Now, don't get me wrong. I want the kid to succeed the same way I want the Bings to succeed. But this is not working out. And everybody knows exactly what story you're trying to tell. So you fucked yourself there trying to get the whole thing to come full circle. You should have waited some years before you rehashed this, just so that way any new fans could have a little bit of a suspicion as to what's going on. But every fan you got right now already saw how this whole role played out with Tyreek Carver. So having Carver get his comeuppance, especially as a heel, you know how the story is going to play out. So it's like you don't even invest in it because you already know how it's going to turn out. You already know who's going to turn on who. You're watching the clock instead of watching the television. And once the clock strikes midnight, you look back to the television knowing, oh, yeah, I knew it was going to happen. I don't know what the fuck they're doing with Logan Clark, but it makes no sense. And with Otis Crane and Zach Hardy, I like the story. Really like the story. Otis Crane get the shit beat out of him. Hardy took advantage. But going into this Sunday, man, and of course, I'm speaking as myself in the third person. I'm speaking about myself in the third person. Metric has not been what Metric was supposed to be. It has looked bad. Bad. Metric doesn't look like a convincing stable at all. It just looks like a bunch of people under the same banner. It's like the Intensity roster. There's no connection there. It doesn't look or feel like there's a connection there. But they are all associated in some way. But it's not like that association is put out tenfold. A few guys go out with each other, like go out to the ring with each other and manage each other and stand there in support of each other, but there's no like unit. There's no collection. It's not like Metric is Metric and these guys are Metric. You just know that these guys are associated with Metric. It looks like what you have in New Japan with these stables that are associated, but some people are associated with others more than others, obviously. So Metric just does not look convincing. It just looks like Zach Hardy's show with a bunch of other guys more associated with him than the rest of the roster. Metric is just a mess. The red belt title picture, while Otis Crane versus Zach Hardy is going to be fantastic. Match number 2 coming around. And Tyreek Carver versus Mr. Anthony is going to be fantastic because it was Blockbuster. This doesn't have me intrigued. Like, I'm not enticed to watch this match I'm not enticed to follow these stories that much because it's only a matter of time before Metric fades away. It's a failed experiment. And Otis Crane recaptures the red belt title because you know Otis Crane is going to come back from this injury and battle. Very predictable. But you know Otis Crane is going to win that red belt title. And you know Tyreek Carver is going to retain the blue belt title. So it's not like you have to really have anticipation. This match isn't doing anything for it. It's just an empty match to further the story a little bit more. Not the biggest fan of that. Segment afterwards, Andrew Morris of Metric, if you didn't know, walks around with Seth and Chain Reaction, also of Metric, just in case you didn't know. They are approached by the Promised Land, who tell them that they will beat the Stargazers once again this Sunday at Capital Carnage to retain the USW Tag Team titles. That's it. That's it. That's it. How the fuck? Why? That's it. That's all they have to say. George Martin, Tanner Wallace of the Promised Land, their leader is the USW champion, for fuck's sake. And we're just gonna kick your friends' asses. We're gonna take their titles. Chain Reaction, Seth, Andrew Morris. They tell Hills and Franklin. I'm sorry, my bad. They don't tell Hills and Franklin. They'll tell the Promised Land. The Stargazers are going to kick their asses this Sunday, send them back to the mid-cards where they belong. What the fuck is with this blatant misusage of airtime? We're going to kick your asses. No, we're going to kick your asses. What the fuck is this show? This is not Intensity, and this is not... fucking hell. Match 2. Haley Oster and Mia Bing, either the weak link of the group or the weak link of her group. With Lucas Bing in their corner, just for, good measure, they beat Peyton Hawthorne and Alicia Sinclair, women's champion, by submission, as Mia Bing sets up Hawthorne in the Lion Tamer for the win. Afterwards, Mia Bing grabs the USW women's title, hands it to Haley Oster. And then who also obviously holds the title above her head, and then chucks it out of the ring at Alicia Sinclair. So, why? What the hell is this? All right, Bing giving the title Oscar is like furthering this babyface respectable. I have no problem with Bing. All right, and she picked up the win. That's great. All right, kind of redeems her side of the opening segment burial. Not much for Lucas Bing, but does well for Mia Bing. All right, so I am fine with that. That's not the problem I have. The problem I have is Oscar lifting the title above her head and then throwing it like a baseball out of the ring at Alicia Sinclair, who she missed. So really, while she was trying to throw the title at Alicia Sinclair, she just chucked the women's title on the ground. That's it! My fucking God. As if you haven't... Oh, man. If you haven't done enough damage to your women's division by giving Hawthorne these wins and then loses, and wins and then loses for like the better part of the last 6 months. And then you have Haley Osser fighting her way into contention now that she can challenge and now that she can fight for the title. And Jade Oliver's out of the picture, so it's just her and Alicia Sinclair. And then Mia Bing being buried in the opening segment, but picking up the win, giving the title to Osser, who then chucks it in the ground. How the fuck have you convoluted this story up so damn much that the same match with two different feuds that have no inner workings with each other other than maybe the winner gets to fight the other winner? How the fuck do you just complicate things by intertwisting these so damn badly that it has no long-term effect on the stories, but it does something for whatever reason on that same fucking night? I don't get it. What the fuck is your... How the fuck do you do this? My God. Interview with Nathan Greenway. Zach Hardy's being talked about. Or Zach Hardy is talking about his actions from earlier tonight and what it means for himself going into Sunday's match against Otis Crane. Hardy tells Greenway that that what he did will not matter, and at the end of the day, Otis Crane is not built to beat people like himself. The Stars. Otis Crane then charges at Zach Hardy from off to the side. Hardy overtakes him, injures his leg. Hardy then pulls Otis Crane's leg through the metal beam. Anarchy and Prophecy then walk up, swing chairs one after another at Otis Crane's leg while still trapped in the metal beam. Alright. And then medics rip Anarchy and Prophecy off. Zach Hardy then pushes down the metal beam in the interview area, taking the whole set down on top of Otis Crane. This was fantastic. Alright, and that's not just because I was involved in it, but that is awesome. Alright, I have always hated the fact that we get interviews that are just... Bye-bye. Makes no sense. Make the backstage area look like it's alive. Otis Crane comes charging in. Hardy overtakes him, overwhelms him, makes Otis Crane look weak only because of his injury. Alright, and so he's got that injury. He is very, very injured. Adds this level of, well, Zach Hardy just got the title back, but at the same time, Otis Crane needs this win, but he's so severely injured, so is this going to be protecting him, or is this going to be another thing to overwhelm and overcome into this Sunday? So fucking great. Perfect. Beautiful. Executed to perfection. Wonderful. And, at the same time, it looked brutal. Beating Otis Crane's leg into the metal beams. Two guys getting ripped away. The third one sneaks back into the picture and just twists it a little bit more. Thrusts the knife back into your back a little bit further. Adds a little bit more salt to the wound. Awesome. The best thing on the show based off of the fact that nothing else was really that great. Man, it really seems like you're going into war with AEW now, doesn't it? My God. Alright, third match on the card. Let's get through this. Andrew Morris and the Stargazers, USW Tag Team Champions, beat Quincy Newsom, S-Rank Hills, and Benny Franklin. For whatever reason, Hills and Franklin were involved. So, afterwards, the Stargazers cut a scathing promo where on how they were rejects, and nobody cared about them when they first walked through the doors and into the company. Excuse me, it only took for them to be told to leave the company for them to give a shit. Black name drops WWE for whatever reason and how they mistreated their talent, because, this is a war that you want to start, right? And how USW was supposed to be a safe haven for them. But the harsh truth is that they were just another factor of it. Richie then states that they are going to keep this harsh reality from taking over, and they will remain the most dominant tag team in the history of the company. And that starts with taking out the Kings of the Chessboard. So, what? Huh? What? You're not fighting Hills and Franklin. You're fighting the Promised Land. It was so good! The promo was so great. I read it and I escalated up to the stupid part. And it sounded really good. Because it was really good. You're not fighting Hills and Franklin, though. You're fighting the Promised Land. And if you ask me, I think the Kings of the Crossroads, or I'm sorry, the Kings of the Tag Division, would be Hills and Franklin. But you're not fighting them. Maybe you're talking about them earlier, but it doesn't sound like it. It was so good till you fucked it up. Interview with Nathan Greenway. He interviews a member of the medical team about the condition of Otis Crane. And the medical team states that his MCL and ACL are completely destroyed. Bullshit. You cannot diagnose that within a few moments. That's an MRI waiting, and that's at least a day's wait. So, whatever. Cool. Just furthering the story. Get to the main event. Kirikashi, USW champion. George Martin, Tanner Wallace, the Promised Land, beat Philip Akron and the Stargazers. Again. Stargazers stay out there. And Philip Akron, who hates Metric, let me remind you of that. Just to remind you of the war between Zach Hardy and Philip Akron before Call to Greatness this year. And last year when Zach Hardy turned heel. Brilliant storytelling. Afterwards, Derek Carter storms out of the ring, hits a super kick after super kick after super kick on everyone other than the Stargazers. Before taking the championship into his arms and throwing it at Suzuki Kirikashi, as if we haven't played dodgeball with our belts enough. Derek Carter grabs a mic, tells everyone in attendance that he's made his choice, walks away, and the show ends. This show sucked. Plain and simple. One of, if not the worst intensity of the year. And you are just under 2 months away from going to war with AEW for Wednesday night viewership. You put out this goddamn garbage, and it's the go-home show to Capital Carnage. At least, this 4-month-long story of Derek Carter showing up in the backstage area of both shows every fucking week and negotiating is coming to a close. He's made his choice, and man, Stargazers ran away, which does not make them look great. Also, they fought 2 matches in the same night. The fuck? I'm starting to question who wrote this fucking show. One way or another, that was your show. That was it. Derek Carter's made his choice. He's going to go to Intensity or he's going to go to Severity. We'll find out when we find out. Probably next week on Intensity. This show sucked. It was bad. WWE was name dropped as being this beast, this menace, this garbage. And their episode of Raw this week was better than this episode of Intensity. Reading through the cliff notes, I have not changed my mind. The show still sucks. Let's get into Severity, though. August 9th, 2019, Severity number 178. 3 weeks away from Ultimate Consequence. World Champion Hernastley walks out, cuts a promo. He has managed to bring... What the fuck is tapping on glass? He has managed to bring recognition back to the world title, because that's what we're going to call it. Hernastley states he has become the sole reason for why the World Heavyweight Championship is the greatest prize in Ultimate Showcase Wrestling. Crosby Thorne proceeds to walk out and make a claim towards Hernastley, that after Thorne's victory over Majigetta last Friday, he is the next in line to take a shot at the World Heavyweight Championship. Crimson Red then proceeds to walk out and make the claim that no matter what he has won, or whether he has, no matter whether he has won or whether he has lost, he has yet to be given a fair shot at challenging for the World Heavyweight Championship, and starting now, he is officially the next in line. Sorry, Crimson, that's not how this works. Majigetta then proceeds to walk out, because we haven't had enough chefs in the kitchen. Makes it very clear to everyone the World Heavyweight title picture has been sent into madness at the scene of the challengers in the ring. Boy, don't I know a damn thing about that. Martin Reese then walks out, your general manager. States that he has too much on his hands right now to be playing games with the World Heavyweight Championship. His most important prize on the show, despite the fact that if he doesn't get Derek Carter, he's been told by his father that he is fired. I get that there's a lot working on Derek Carter, but, this is your title. Your big prize. Derek Carter comes along, you want him to be holding the title. Afterwards, he's fighting for Derek Carter because Derek Carter lost the match that, on paper, this world title should have made. It's convoluted. It's an explanation. But he makes it very clear, tonight will feature the 3 men in the ring, other than Hernasli, facing each other in a 3-way dance to become the number 1 contender to the World Heavyweight Championship. Reese goes to leave, then Choi Ji-Yu walks out, grabs a microphone, says very simply in the same way, I beat Crimson, I beat Mashigeta, I will beat Crosby. I'm sorry, I beat Crimson, I would beat Mashigeta, I would beat Crosby, give me Hernasli, I will beat Hernasli. Choi Ji-Yu, if you haven't noticed, Korean, obviously, but doesn't cut very many promos. The reason why? His character doesn't need to. Really, really on board with Choi Ji-Yu. So far, has been the best graduate class of whatever. Reese then looks at Choi Ji-Yu, looks over at the ring, at a confused Hernasli, and then Reese thinks it over and says aloud, okay, main event, Choi Ji-Yu versus Hernasli for the World Heavyweight title. Then he walks away. That's it. So we got 2 matches on the card. Fantastic opening segment. This is perfect. Completely different from Intensity. Didn't bury anyone. Built a star in Choi Ji-Yu. Gave him the world title match. He feels Choi Ji-Yu has the making of a star. Just give him the right booking. And so far, this works. You confirm not only a number 1 contender's 3-way dance in the show for the opportunity to fight whoever it may be for the World Heavyweight title, but you also managed to squeeze in a World Heavyweight Championship match. Awesome. The wonderful thing is, on social media, you could see that people actually thought Choi Ji-Yu had a shot at winning the world title. Not to spoil it, but let's get into it. First match on the card, Norris Cadavri and the Wine Cellar beat AJ Cornell with the Oppositionals. Cornell comes close to pulling off the upset by hitting the Declaration, only for Norris Cadavri to counter it into a German suplex pinfall for the clean victory. Afterwards, Cadavri is asked a question by William York, the commentator, about what his plans going forward are in regards to his status in the main event picture. Norris Cadavri goes to answer, only for Western Light to walk out and attack him from behind with a chair, assaulting the remainder of the Wine Cellar in the process. Afterwards, Western Light then grabs a microphone from William York and says the word weak before walking away. Awesome! Wonderful! This was fucking great! Norris Cadavri versus Western Light is bound to be fantastic, and the fact that Western Light just nonchalantly walked into the ring with a chair, leveled Norris Cadavri, then leveled his 2, Xavier King and Zach Arden, who, a great supporting cast, but really need to be given a main event slot. They are just so fucking great. Give them the right material to work with. But one way or another, all Western Light has to say is weak and walks away. That's perfect. He does not like Cadavri of the Wine Cellar. He thinks they're weak, can't get the job done, so he's going to take them out. They don't deserve that airtime, so he'll take it for himself. They're weak. Walk away. Start a fight that you'll finish, and in finishing that fight, you'll take them out of the title picture and out of the main event contention. Wonderful. I love this. Fantastic opening start. Then we get into the interview section with Anna Walczyk and the World Tag Team Champions, the Golden Manifesto, about their next challenge. Mika Jordan simply states that he believes they both know exactly what the next challenge is going to be. Second match on the card. This is the 3-way dance number 1 contenders match for the World Heavyweight Championship. Crosby Thorne beats Machigeta and Crimson Red, because we need more Crosby Thorne versus Hernasli, right? Haha. Afterwards, Crosby Thorne holds his hands around his waist to signal, mimics the whole championship around the waist sort of thing, to signify that his next step is going to be going after the World Heavyweight title. So we've got that match down. Crosby Thorne's going to be fighting for the title at Ultimate Consequence. It's just a matter of who he's going to face. Backstage segment. Cash, Cindy Allison Jackson, walks around backstage, and then she runs into the Wine Cellar, who wish her luck before telling them that she will see them soon. I love this. This is a great tease. Cindy Allison Jackson has been, I don't want to say mediocre, because it's only been really a month since she showed up on Severity, but she has not been treated like the star that I was hoping she would be treated. She's very much been given the treatment that I thought Jade Oliver would receive, but in turn, Jade Oliver has been pushed into the title picture, clearly, as being the World Women's Champion, and Cindy Allison Jackson has just been relegated to like, supporting cast, to backing cast, which, not the fan of. I like Cindy Allison Jackson. I think she's a really great performer. I just don't think she's been given the proper hands-on booking that she deserves in order to succeed. I think that Cindy Allison Jackson is a fantastic promo worker, and I think she is great in the ring. My worry is that she's not going to succeed. My worry is that she's not going to succeed because she will not be given the treatment that she deserves. I think her bubbly persona, her, never say die attitude is too, heroic babyface-ish. Successful USW babyfaces tend to be the ones with a bit of attitude, a bit of fire and passion, but are also respectable and commendable. Cindy Allison Jackson is just too nice, right? She's been very much given the role of Bayley, WWE's Bayley, the whole smile and whatever it may be, happy attitude, but she doesn't have, she has a fire, but it's not, it's a fire that's dying out. She doesn't have, this passion. You don't see a passion or a want or a need, But I love the idea that she could be given the next best thing, which is an attitude, with this whole interaction with the wine cellar. I love the tease of putting the wine cellar and Cindy Allison Jackson together. I think that would be fantastic. I think that could end up being what makes the wine cellar what the wine cellar was expected to be. Cadaveri, King, Arden, great performers in their own right. Pairing them together just makes them stronger. I would love the idea if you put Cindy Allison Jackson with them, because it would make the wine cellar... the wine cellar was expected to be like the Promised Land, right? All guys look strong. They're always given this kind of main attention, this main event look. They're always exposed on TV. They're always given the platform. But they haven't looked like the dominant faction you thought they were going to. They just look like this really, really solid mid-card unit. But Cindy Allison Jackson being put in there, I think, would give the wine cellar the hump they need to get over into the main event picture. This boost to get into the main level of performers. I think that would be fantastic. Afterwards, we get an interview with Walzak again with Jack Ramsey about Surveillance Washington and what his plan is going to be to take down Washington in vengeance for his friend Austin Cole. Not the biggest fan of how they phrase that question, because it confuses me as to what the fuck Ramsey is fighting for. Obviously, Ramsey is fighting to kind of avenge Austin Cole and the beating that Washington gave to Austin Cole, but, signifying that the only reason to fight Washington is on behalf of his friend Austin Cole just kind of makes Austin Cole look weak. He needs Jack Ramsey to finish his battles for him. I'm not a fan of that. But, one way or another, the response was golden. He states that Washington is a horrible person, wretched individual, and deserves all the pain coming his way, so it's fitting that he is Sir Violence, because he's going to be the Sir at the opposite hand, on the receiving hand of the violence. I just thought that was a clever play on words. He looks to dish out that pain to him when he finally gets his hands on Washington at Ultimate Consequence. Golden, again, really well played on words. It may not seem like much, and it may sound corny, but Jack Ramsey getting the chance to show that off the cuff he can come up with this reference, this witty humor, and control his words so well that he puts together a sentence that I couldn't even utter. The fact that his ability to be quick on his feet with his words is fantastic. All right, and it may sound cheesy, but it shows that he has the capability of doing that. It's just a matter of doing so. That's great. Third match on the card, Octavian and Aphrodite alongside the God Complex, Artemis and Ophion, beat international champion Paul Orlando and world women's champion Jade Oliver. in this mixed tag team match. Jade Oliver is caught off guard. She's hit with a solar eclipse from Aphrodite for the clean pinfall victory. After the match, Golden Manifesto drags Ophion and Artemis away from ringside, and they begin beating them down. So, the Golden Manifesto turn heel and officially, they're officially turned heel, and they run through the crowd in retreat after Aphrodite and Octavian single them out and run after them. So, I don't like that decision at all. Alright, I think the Golden Manifesto is great. And I think they're really coming into their own, but to turn them heel this early, yeah, I'm not the fan of that. I mean, it's great that you gave them a new challenge, but there were better ways to do that. That may just be my picky way, but it was not a good moment on the card, in my humble opinion, if we can say humble, right? Alright, backstage segment, you got Martin Reese sitting in his office. He's then approached by Derek Carter, as if we haven't gotten enough Carter in the backstage. Tells Martin Reese that he has told Rose Lyon the same thing, and that is that this Wednesday on Intensity, he wants them both to bring a contract for him to sign, as he would be making his official decision. So, the fact that he's doing so on Intensity is kind of a bad home crowd advantage. Not the biggest fan of that. But I do like the idea of Derek Carter confirming that he's trying to play both of them, or he's trying to make both feel like they're on edge, like in return for their treatment towards him, by going, you know what, both of you bring a contract, and I'm going to hold this anticipation until the very last moment, and I'm going to do so on national programming. So, I just like that. It's a nice little fuck you, and I like that. It's awesome. I couldn't say enough about it. Fourth match, main event, World Heavyweight title on the line. Choi Ji-Yu beats Hernasli via disqualification. Ji-Yu goes for the new level. Close 2 count. Match continues. Hernasli hits Cased for another near fall. It keeps both men in the match. So 2 finisher kickouts. Cornell then runs down, attacks Choi Ji-Yu as the ref is down, prompting Hernasli to hit the Cased for another close near fall. Cornell then rushes in again and goes to hit Choi Ji-Yu with a declaration, but Choi Ji-Yu ducks and Cornell connects with Hernasli. Ji-Yu then hits the Shining Wizard on AJ Cornell, knocks him out of the ring before before going for the new level again. By this point in time, the crowd has gone nuts because they're so not only behind Choi Ji-Yu, and Choi Ji-Yu is now over as fuck because of this, but they are on the edge, assuming that the world title is about to change hands, and it's going to be Choi Ji-Yu to do it. Hits a new level. Again, referee wakes up. Cornell then breaks up the pinfall, ending the match in a disqualification. So Choi Ji-Yu gets the win, but does not get the world title. And my assumption is the fact that he would have won that match. He would have won the world title had AJ Cornell not broken up that pinfall. So it makes Choi Ji-Yu look like a strong motherfucker. I love that. And then Choi Ji-Yu and AJ Cornell get into the scrap. Cornell goes to hit Ji-Yu with a declaration again, but Majigetta and Crimson Red run out, attack AJ Cornell, running him off, officially turning Crimson Red and Majigetta. I mean, Majigetta was kind of a face, but turning Crimson Red face. After then, Hernasli goes to attack Majigetta, but Crimson Red hits Hernasli with the Red Wedding, saving Majigetta from the attack, officially confirming Crimson Red has been turned face. So both men then raise Choi Ji-Yu's hand in the air, and that's how the show ends. Makes Choi Ji-Yu look really strong, and it set up so many different things. You've got Crimson Red and Majigetta both turning face, so you can see what happens from there. Hernasli is going to be facing Crosby Thorne again at Ultimate Consequence with the world title on the line. Whilst at the same time, you've got Choi Ji-Yu versus AJ Cornell set up pretty nicely, which I'm then looking forward to, because if Majigetta and Crimson Red attacked, AJ Cornell on behalf of Choi Ji-Yu, I assume Choi Ji-Yu is going to face AJ Cornell, and AJ Cornell's boys, the Oppositionals, Ryler and Sickle, will then face Majigetta and Crimson Red. So it's a very convoluted segment, but it sets up a lot, and that is fantastic. Great episode. Blows Wednesday Night Intensity out of the water. Severity was a fucking far superior show, and that's hard to imagine, hard to comprehend, when Intensity was fighting off of the Go Home show. Their show should have been jam packed, but they fell weak in everything. Yes, great show from Severity, horrendous show from Intensity, and that is pretty much that's where it ends. You've got it down pat. That's how it goes. So yeah, we've spent an hour on this now. 40 minutes? Okay. Well, close enough to an hour, right? But yeah. Not really too looking forward to Capital Carnage. Let's run down the card real quick before we finish off this topic and head into our little discussion of our Wednesday and Friday Night Wars. The mid-card is going to be filled with Indigo Child versus Lucas Bing, with Mia Bing in his corner. Or I assume Mia Bing in his corner. Same way I assume Lucas Bing will be in Mia Bing's corner when Mia Bing faces Peyton Hawthorne. And then Quincy Newsome versus Andrew Morris. The USW Women's Championship will be Alicia Sinclair defending the title against Haley Osser. The USW Tag Team Championships will be the Stargazers, Arvo Black and Aiden Ritchie, defending the titles against the Promised Land, George Martin and Tanner Wallace. The Red Belt title will be in the line when Zach Hardy defends the belt against Otis Crane. The Blue Belt Championship will be on the line when Tyreek Carver, with I assume Logan Clark in his corner, defends the title against Mr. Anthony. And the main event, or what I presume to be the main event, will be the USW Championship match with Suzuki Kirikashi defending the belt against Philip Akron. Fair card. It looks like you can enjoy it, but I'm not expecting anything great. The mid-card looks pretty weak. And while the title matches look great, and they comprise more than half the show, the mid-card is really what I think the bread and butter of a pay-per-view is, and this bread and butter just is stale and spoiled as fucking hell. But, man, has Severity made me look forward to Ultimate Consequence. I know damn well my money will be well spent on that show. Yeah, it's really weird to see Intensity falling so hard to Severity, especially when, the last time Severity was this good was when they were starting out the brand. And for the past year and a half, the world title has been in absolute chaos and turmoil. Transitional champion after transitional champion. So to see Intensity, such a consistently really good show, fall to this level, you kind of question a little bit. You wonder, just maybe, is something going on that we don't know about or we're not hearing about. I'm not going to suggest that this is a controversy or a conspiracy, but I'm really interested in seeing why Intensity and Severity have been Intensity has been lackluster over the past few weeks, and Severity has been really, really good. So yeah, those are your reviews, your rundowns.